Around 10 years ago, I was completely obsessed with digital photography. I was obsessed with getting the sharpest images that I could. Anything that wasn't pin sharp simply wasn't good enough. I would read all the magazines about how I needed to achieve this, the compositions that I needed to do, the correct lighting and everything else, entering into as many competitions as I could. My views on film photography were very much, it's dead. It's a waste of time. People who are doing it are clearly stuck in the past and need to move on. So what happened? This little box held together with elastic bands happened. But why? So with my digital photography, I obviously relied heavily on a computer, and it went through a time where it wasn't very reliable at all. It'd go away for weeks at a time, trying to be fixed, it'd come back, it would go wrong again, it would go back again, and this went on for months. And I got to the point where I had no more memory cards, they were all rammed, but I still had that little twitch that I needed to get out. So a few years previous, I'd received a Pinhole kit and I decided to put that together. I built it up, I made a little dark space under my stairs and I loaded this thing up and I headed out down here to capture my first exposure with a Pinhole camera. Now, using a Pinhole camera was a very unique and strange experience. I'd been used to a digital camera for so many years, all the different lenses, the different settings I could set up. I could spend a little bit of time adjusting things, getting things I just wanted. I could see what I was going to get with the viewfinder. Using a little wooden box held together with elastic bands and a funny shutter system was an odd experience. But getting home and developing the picture and seeing the picture for the first time, it was probably one of the worst pictures I had maybe ever taken. Yet it was one I was probably most proud of. Now, I expected this Pinhole experience to be very short-lived. I would just use up the paper negatives that came with the kit and move on. My computer would be sorted and I'll be back out with my digital photography. But like I mentioned, there was something with that first photo that gave me a sense of pride, and it made me realize there was so much more to photography than just the final result. It was the whole process in between. It was the time being out. For me, it was almost a time of reflection. It was stepping away from a busy work week, a busy family life, and just getting out for a few hours on a Saturday morning to get away from everything, to lose myself in my creativity. I found a lot with my digital, I didn't always enjoy that time. I was after that final result, and that final result had to be perfect. And having the viewfinder and seeing your results as you're going, I always felt a little bit of disappointment as I was going along. Sure, some mornings were fantastic, but it wasn't always like that. With the Pinhole camera not having the viewfinder, not being able to see your results, I found I lost myself more in the whole time and the whole process. And the other thing with the Pinhole camera is being so limited, so restricted, to not have adjustable apertures, to not have different focal lengths, to have an ISO or fixed whatever film you've got in, no viewfinder. These limitations I found enhanced my creativity. I had to think more, I had to work more, I had to visualize the shot I wanted and try and make it work with the simplest of gear that I had. And that process I absolutely love. So I'm not sure this will work. I've got it's not got a tripod thread in here, so I've kind of attached with elastic bands, as long as it's not too affected by the wind. I might put a rock on it just to hold it down, with a bit of weight. So as I'm here, just a quick technical on this little camera, that all you're meant to do is poke a hole in the black paper it comes with, but I have put a 0.3 pinhole over there now. So with the 80mm focal length, I'll get an aperture of f266. I'm using an ultra darkroom paper, which is an ISO 6. So you get some pretty good exposure time. So this is going to be 60 seconds. So not only did this little wooden camera start my journey off into pinhole photography, but also into film photography as a whole. I purchased some film cameras shortly after this and used them a lot. I went on to buy many more pinhole cameras, and throughout the last 10 years I have probably enjoyed my photography more than ever. At times it is challenging. Film can be irritating. You'll get light leaks on things you didn't think were possible, and have experiences in film change bags which are just an absolute nightmare. But the whole process is something I have just absolutely loved. It completely changed my photography, and for the better. Now, there was a quote by a guy on Instagram recently named Levi. I'll put his stuff up here. I'm not sure of this full thingy off the top of my head, but it simply was, you don't shoot film for the convenience. You use the tools which inspire you to get out. And for me, it happens to be this. I love it. I love the process. I love the experience. And I can't and don't think I will change it for many years to come. But anyway, I've got one more shot left to load up, and then we'll get home, we'll develop this, and we'll see the final results.